Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh,
Hooray.
shit.
Blue Thunder. Brilliant. Roy Scheider. Daniel Stern. Warren Oates' last movie. I understand you didn't care for it.
Well, should we do that thing where we introduce the show?
Oh, right. Who are you?
Oh, shit. What was the... Oh, welcome to HPV, where we watch bullshit.
We watch bullshit, and I'm Brad, and you are...
Chris.
Hello.
Hi.
So you didn't like Blue Thunder?
So, all right, we're just getting right into it.
That's right, dude.
Fucking... Oh,
what
man.
else needs to be said right now?
What a film.
Well, you know.
The unmitigated gall of this movie to do the things that it did.
Why? What do you mean,
absolutely insane.
Did you know that this movie spawned a television series?
I have never been more tickled to hear
And in
anything.
the television series...
I like that you've kept this from me this entire time to spring it on me on air.
Yes. And in the television series...
Rat bastard.
Jaffo was played by Dana Carvey.
Get all the way the fuck out of here.
Yep. I remember distinctly watching the premiere episode, and he's got the helmet on his head, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Jaffo, just another frustrating observer." When we know in the rated R Blue Thunder movie, it's not frustrating, it's another F word.
Oh.
Yes.
Frustrating.
Dana Carvey.
Frustrating would be the word that I would use to describe Blue Thunder, though.
I'm Jaffo. Dana Carvey, yo.
Oh, great.
Well, his career was just starting then.
And almost ending.
It was a while before he made it on to Saturday Night Live.
The master of disguise, and then everything was all over.
All downhill. But, you know, he had
that empire came crumbling down.
Did you know he was misdiagnosed with a heart condition and had surgery he didn't need and ended up having to sue the doctor, and that derailed his career for about 5 years or so, and then it was just...
Oh, I'm sure it was that, and not the fact that he hasn't written a new joke in 25 years.
Well...
All right, well, we don't need to sit here and talk about Dana Carvey.
Why are we talking about... Yes, so Blue Thunder with Roy Scheider, Daniel Stern.
Man.
A brilliant movie.
What the fuck?
So, Chris, what would you say Blue Thunder was about?
Sometimes terrorism has positive effects. I don't know, man.
Yes,
All right, do you want to know the real...
Yes, lay it on me,
my
Chris.
real thesis for this film?
Please.
All right, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Helicopters are bitching.
Yeah, fucking A.
That's it.
You know what'd be really cool, man? What? A shootout. A helicopter shootout over L.A. Get the... Yes!
Here's all of the money.
Mm-hmm.
With what money left, who can we get? I don't know, 60-year-old Roy Scheider.
You know what? And the best thing is that we'll just get an Apache helicopter from the military and throw some armor and put a gun on it, and we'll call it this new hyped up thing, Blue Thunder, paint it all black so it looks badass. Dude, we'll get the military involved so we don't have to pay half the budget.
Sure. Brad, what do you like about this movie?
What do I like
That's
about
a
it?
sincere question.
Okay.
I recognize that it is entertaining because it is absolutely out of its fucking mind. But you seem real jazzed about this, and I'm very curious.
I have a fondness for this movie because I haven't seen it in probably about 35 years or so. Probably more than that, because way back when, in the good old days of VHS tapes, my grandfather rented this from some store, and we watched it one night, and all I ever saw, aside from the the Encino scene, was cool helicopters flying around, and who knew that if you just pulled hard enough on that stick, you could make it do a 360 in the air and circle around and shoot somebody out of the sky, a bad British guy.
I like how you chose to leave out the Encino scene.
Well, I
never in my life expected to turn on, what year is this, 1983?
I couldn't wait when I found out you hadn't seen it.
A 1983 Roy Scheider helicopter movie.
Yes.
And within 10 minutes of the film beginning, we're shown a clear shot of just a woman's vagina.
Well, not just a clear shot.
It is shocking, Brad.
Well, okay, all right. Here's the thing. It's not like they
What the hell is going on?
I understand why you might be shocked. Because they didn't go to a strip club, granted. But this was perhaps a flaw in our hero's character. That he would be aware that by taking a Los Angeles Police Department helicopter, an official helicopter, and flying it low in a residential area to spy on a woman who practices yoga in the nude was probably against regulations. He didn't think about it. Didn't care to think about it because he was out there with Jaffo, played by Daniel Stern, just another fucking observer, by the way. And Jaffo wanted to see the 10:30 appointment at Encino. So, it was something that was commonly known. And he did get reprimanded for it. I will remind you, Chris, that regulations were upheld, carried out, and they were grounded for their devious, mischievous...
For about 20 minutes.
They were still grounded, which is the significant thing, is that there were repercussions for their perversions. So they're heroes, but they're flawed heroes, yes. But their appreciation is perhaps a little too much heterosexual energy on the job.
This is after they chased down an African-American man who has robbed a liquor store wearing an orange shirt and a cowboy hat.
The Circus liquor store, I might add, which still exists in Burbank, which is awesome to see in the movies. God bless them, Circus Liquor. Shout out.
Man.
Anyway,
I don't know where to start because...
So I kind of blew past the implied racism of the scene that you're talking about. But you have to remember that...
the first instance of racism in this film.
Yes. Well, this
wasn't a one-off.
This film also talks about the Urban Civil Liberties Union that the lady who was murdered was putting together.
Sure.
And talks about these problems with LAPD, and we see examples of the problems with LAPD and all of this. So really, it's just more of a depiction of slice of life of the time period. So, it's interesting to note as a historical record is what I'm saying.
Nobody listening can see that shit-eating grin on your face. But man,
you don't know what you
fucking
mean.
Goddamn Cheshire cat over there.
I don't know what you mean, sir.
All right.
It's a fine movie. I don't see what you have wrong with it, other than a few questionable scenes.
It is out of its mind. All right, so...
So take us through. What happens? We meet Roy Scheider, who's meditating with a Casio watch.
Yes.
And
for reasons that are never really explained. Like, there's one line about it. Well, it didn't make any sense.
He's worried about whether or not he's going insane. So he uses the watch to time out roughly 25 seconds. And in his mind, if it only feels like 5 seconds, then he knows he's a nut job. But if it feels like the 25 seconds that it should, then he's still sane and ready to get behind that wheel and fly that helicopter.
With his brand new recruit, Lyman Good. Played by Daniel Stern.
What kind of a name is Lyman Good? Where does that come from?
All right, I want to talk about Daniel Stern for a minute.
Yes, let's talk about Daniel Stern.
He is a problem.
He's an eager beaver on the job.
Sure. Man, He's a real sex predator.
Yeah, he
is out of control.
A legit full-on sexual predator, because one of the first things they do when they go for the first Blue Thunder joyride is ride over this civilian woman who's a bit gifted, shall we say.
Yeah, and she's a sex worker, and she is negotiating with a potential client.
Yes. And what do? They zoom right in on the
right
cleavage.
On her cleavage.
Right on the cleavage. Yeah. And he actually paused at the monitor. Oh, I want. Now, that's a troubled youth, I might say.
Yeah.
Flawed heroes, Chris.
He does die in a pretty goddamn horrific way.
Well, he gets his hands zip tied behind his back. Now, zip ties in the 80s, not very common. Interesting to note. Gets duct taped over the mouth. Somehow kung fu's his way away from these two guys. I still don't know where the second guy went. Yeah, gets his fingers broken.
Yeah, one dude just wanders off apparently.
Yeah. So he kung fu's his way out of there, hits a guy on a bike, right? And then gets run down by a Chevy.
Hard. Driven by Skinny from Unforgiven.
Yeah, exactly.
Skinny gonna get you.
Man, imagine that was about 10, 15 years. Unforgiven was about... It was
92.
92, okay. So about 10 years. Not quite 10 years.
Yeah, I know exactly what year Unforgiven was made.
Okay.
Why? That's just a piece of trivia I know.
Excellent. Well, yeah, if I thought about it, I could have come up with the year, but we don't need to go into that trivia.
So
let's get back to Blue Thunder.
Frank's a problem as well.
Well...
both of them being in the air and together is a real troublesome mixture.
Well, the thing is when I first saw this with my grandfather many, many years ago, none of these things actually occurred to me. So watching them with you, it's like, okay, wait a minute. The man is having Vietnam flashbacks.
Okay.
And then he meets the captain, and the captain mentions, the psych people want to do another evaluation. Not one, another evaluation.
Because we're told something about his little freak out about a month ago.
Yeah. And we've just seen an example of it today, right? So there's that. Then he flies Jaffo around to the Encino appointment, knowing that he shouldn't, but he does it anyway, because he's a bit of a perv, we now know. Okay. And then...
well, they should have been in the area that they were supposed to be in, because the district attorney was being raped and assaulted. Supposedly raped.
Exactly. Holy crap, I totally forgot that it was... the crime took place on their patrol route, and because they weren't on their route,
because they were leering at a woman through her window.
Details, Chris, details.
And a woman from her apartment had to call the regular police and say, there is a police helicopter hovering in my neighborhood.
Well, now, here's an interesting detail. Yes, it was a woman who noticed them that we saw on camera, but when the captain references the report, he says a man says he was awoken from his sleep. So a man actually called in, which means it was multiple people.
Or it was just 1983 and women have no agency in Blue Thunder.
Well, they are pretty, though. Come on. Come on, man.
Okay.
Their agency is to be naked and sell movie tickets.
So Roy Scheider steals a helicopter twice.
Yeah, he straight up steals it twice.
Yeah.
And
he uses it to spy on people having sex again.
Well, now before that,
let's also
let's also mention Roy's personal life, because after he gets grounded, after he gets grounded for leering at the Encino appointment, the LAPD held up regulations, stood by it, and grounded him.
Can't believe you're defending.
He
the
goes
LAPD
home.
Right now.
hush. He goes home. I'm trying to get across
You're a real piece of shit.
that he listens to his answering machine, and his girlfriend has called him 3 times. Where are you? Call me back. Where are you? Call me back. It's really important. Call me. And then she shows up at his door.
And he hates her.
With her kid who's asleep, and it's 3 a.m.
Yes.
So Roy almost shoots her.
Yeah,
Right.
He almost shoots her and her child.
And he chides her for scaring him when he's could have said, "Oh my God, I almost killed your kid. I'm so sorry. Let me put down this gun." No, He keeps it well in his hand, easy and within, just in case she decides to stab him over her child or something. Who knows? Who knows what he was thinking? But clearly he wasn't happy at the moment.
No, so basically, his arc with her changes over the course of the scene.
Less than 3 minutes.
Because immediately he hates her. Mm-hmm. Then she needs her blender and finds this ratty ass looking like...
It was not ratty ass. It was a fine white linen fabric for dresses. Maybe it was a dress itself. Didn't quite see. It looked maybe like a shawl.
Of linen. It didn't look like anything.
Yeah, maybe it was, some sort of...
Here, sew yourself something nice.
I thought you liked this pattern. Maybe you do something with it. So this somehow captivates him because she throws it over the both of them and gives him a big smooch. And instead of shoving her away, he just smooches her back. And deep down it's love, Chris. It's genuine love.
And outside, she still tells him, "I got to get tough on you, Frank. We're going to have this relationship whether you like it or not.
Are you ready for me?" And he, like a man, says, "Yes, I am."
And then he later passes out next to her child while having a fever dream.
Yeah, and she's actually staring at him like, "What are you doing in my boy's bedroom? Why are you having nightmares? Should I call someone, But before she ever says anything further, they cut away from that because, Malcolm McDowell's being a bad guy.
All right. So he gets grounded.
Yeah.
And then immediately they call him up because there's a secret military thing going on.
Yeah.
He meets with a couple FBI agents, and they go to a military showcase.
Yeah, and there's never really...
This is fucking bananas.
There's never really a proper explanation for why his name came up. Because, granted, he was a Vietnam pilot.
Well, something about they had to have the LAPD involved somehow if they were going to be flying over the skies of Los Angeles.
Yes,
so they needed one of their pilots involved. So they call up the most broken pilot that they have that they just suspended, for inappropriate behavior.
Yes. See, now those were the
prime
things,
candidate.
Those were the things that got past me on my first viewing. But as you so rightly pointed out, the guy is recently suspended. Like,
he is a danger.
Not even 24 hours before suspended.
Yes.
Right? The next day, he's on some special task force. Not just him, but Jaffo.
Yeah. His fucking dickhead partner.
Who had his very first flight up as one of those pilot observer guys.
But Jaffo didn't get to go to the showing. Only Roy Scheider did.
Oh, that's true. But they both get assigned to the Blue Thunder later, which is like this guy only had 1 day in the air and was immediately grounded. So neither one of them should be on this project, but, here they are. Even Malcolm McDowell is like, how did this guy get selected?
Well, all right, so they set up like a target range. And
the demonstration, the exhibition.
Yes, the red dummies
are terrorists.
Wooden cutouts or whatever are terrorists, the white are civilians.
Yeah, and they're like...
And here comes fucking Blue Thunder right through the sun. Oh, the sweltering... Oh,
man, that beauty shot of...
It's so good.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. That shot alone probably sold more tickets, across the board. Anyway.
So Blue Thunder goes kind of nuts and fucks shit up.
Now, okay, it is not Blue Thunder. that goes mad. It is that dang Brit, Malcolm McDowell,
Okay,
the evil bad guy, who decides that shooting a school bus full of children just because there are a couple of terrorists in it, destroying the bus, is the best option. That's the man you're dealing with, Chris.
So he lands the helicopter and it pops out, and that's when we realize that it is, in fact, Malcolm McDowell.
Yep. God bless him. Now, I really do respect the actor, but I'm going to make fun of him as the evil bad guy in this movie.
And apparently, he and Roy Scheider, Frank Murphy, they know each other.
They have a history.
Oh, they have a history, boy.
They kind of served together in Vietnam. It's hinted at. We don't know exactly why at this point in the movie.
Malcolm McDowell tried to have him court-martialed once. That bastard.
Oh, yeah. That's right. They do mention that. Yeah. I was thinking of the other big reveal that happens, in the final confrontation between these two deft airline helicopter pilots.
Malcolm McDowell is nothing but cordial. And Roy Scheider is just an insufferable dickhead.
Yeah.
And when Malcolm McDowell walks away, everybody's like, oh man, that asshole.
Look at that. What did he call him? Look at that. Oh man. I forget something about a cocksucker.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll cross that line. He says something about, the British whatever, and calls him that epithet. And really, yeah, if you take a look at the dialogue, again, as you pointed out, he's not saying anything bad or wrong or anything. It's just Frank who's like, And, we as the audience automatically know to hate the British guy.
Roy Scheider's got a lot of shitty one-liners in this movie. They're like half zingers.
We could have used this in Vietnam. We could have used something. Yeah.
Like, after every one of his supposedly, smart quips, somebody should just been like, I'm sorry, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah. What,
could you want to repeat that?
Yeah. What did you mean by that, Frank? What are you trying to say? What? Yeah, but, I mean, he's the hero. So we don't have to question. We automatically know. Malcolm
McDowell needs to test Frank's flying abilities.
Right.
So he loosens a nut on the rotor or something?
Something that's holding down the turbine because
the turbine,
the turbine goes out during this follow my leader test flight thing that they're doing with the Blue Thunder.
Yep.
So Malcolm McDowell's in the Blue Thunder driving it around, and Roy and Jaffo are in
just like a regular bird, as they say.
Yeah, it looks more like a civilian helicopter than an LAPD helicopter.
Yeah.
So they're doing these fly around loop-to-loop things, and then suddenly the turbine goes out. And it's a big struggle. And Roy has to take it down hard. So he crashes a construction site building and takes out the building in the helicopter, and it's an actual practical stunt. Somebody did that shit. It looks awesome, dude.
Dude, the helicopter crash rules.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yes.
It is. They did it. They fucking crashed a helicopter, and not for the last time.
Yeah, and you have problems with this movie.
However, the response to the helicopter crash.
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
They are ripping these two men that just crashed from the heavens out of this helicopter, and they're about to beat the living Christ out of them.
Yeah. Doesn't matter that it's LAPD. Doesn't matter that the helicopter literally fell out of the sky, and you should be like, my God, you're actually walking away from this without a scratch? Who are you people? Are you sure you're okay? You want us to call an ambulance? None of that. There's just straight in their faces. Do you know how much you cost me? That building is, all this stuff. So no love for the LAPD in this movie. Not really. Only Roy Scheider and Jaffo.
So then, inexplicably, Roy Scheider and Jaffo are given free reign to just fly Blue Thunder all over town.
Well, it's an orientation to the helicopter because clearly it was some sort of mechanical problem.
I forgot the part where Jaffo was learning about how to fly said helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
And Roy Scheider comes and gets him and says, this ain't a night school. Come on, we got to go fly this thing.
Yeah.
Stop learning how to pilot this incredibly dangerous military equipment.
A fantastic demonstration of Roy's intuitive piloting abilities. I mean, you got to give credit to the guy. Sure, he has flashbacks, but he's got a lot of experience. They show early on that he's seeing things from the air, that Jaffo needs the binoculars to see.
So by this point, Frank has already gone back and found the napkin in the trees because he was playing Frank Murphy, helicopter detective.
Well, you know, there was something that was just not right about...
Something's fishy.
Yeah. And he knew it wasn't a rape because, you know, rapists don't travel in packs.
There was no rape, even though we showed up 10 minutes after we were supposed to because we were leering at a nude woman.
And when they arrive on the scene, she's on the ground grabbing her stomach and, you know, basically looking like she'd just been assaulted somehow, you know? So to just simply say that flying up from a helicopter, there was no rape. What?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Well, rapists don't travel in pairs or something, apparently, was his justification.
So, all right, they do a bunch of fucked up shit in Blue Thunder, and they decide to follow Malcolm McDowell because he, much like Frank, just goes tearing ass out of this underground fucking parking structure. So they follow him to a federal building to record them.
All right, now this is the first time that he steals a helicopter, remember? Because
he was ordered to come back to a quote-unquote base.
Right. So as they're coming back to base, they go, wait a minute, that dirty British man is in that Corvette going somewhere. And Roy
He's in a real hurry.
Yeah, Roy Scheider goes, let's follow that clear criminal and see what he is doing with his evil, nefarious ways.
Okay, we forgot to mention also Malcolm McDowell is a ranking member of the military.
He's a colonel or something,
Yes, he's a colonel in the military. So that we're following the logic.
So we have a military officer who
is being followed by disgraced LAPD helicopter pilot Frank
who is
Murphy.
Officially refusing to return the Blue Thunder to base and pretending that he's having a problem with his radio scramble and can't communicate. So buying them time to follow that nasty British man to a meeting with
in the loudest way possible. They don't turn on the quiet rotors.
Blue Thunder has the ability to go to silent mode, and they don't use it until they're alongside the building and looking to spy on the conversation inside. Then they go, oh, we should probably be quiet. Okay, turn on the silent mode.
It's incredible.
Malcolm McDowell, an experienced helicopter pilot, again, thank you pointing this out, should at least recognize the sound of a helicopter that's only flying maybe, 300 feet over him?
Yes.
Because they're still halfway
all
in between
around
the
town.
buildings. Yeah, all around visibly. Like, they're not even 1,500 feet in the air, you know, visibly away from buildings, hard to see unless you're looking for it, you know, that kind of thing. No, they are like right on the rooftops of the buildings going through. Looks cool as hell, though, man.
Flying an armed military helicopter all over town where every civilian in Los Angeles could look up and go, what the fuck is that?
Exactly. All practical effects, no CGI. They genuinely flew those helicopters through there, and we have to pretend there was nobody watching. It's awesome, dude.
So
one of the greatest things ever.
It's established earlier in the film that they can take video and audio from an incredible ways away.
Yes, like 5,000 feet or something like that?
Yes, something like that. It was an outrageous amount.
Yeah,
So to capture grainy heat vision video and audio, they are flying the helicopter directly outside of the window where this meeting is taking place.
Again, Roy Scheider, an experienced Vietnam pilot, taking his direct approach as he was trained to do by the military. Not necessarily familiar with the new equipment and its capabilities, and perhaps probably could have been further away from the building. But dude, the shot as Malcolm opens the drapes and they've got him in his thermal looking at the drapes, and then they cut, and then it's him, and he's literally got this look of shock on his face, and then they cut, and there's Blue Thunder right there staring right, and both of them are staring right back at him like, hi! And then it peels out of there. Oh my God, cinematic poetry.
He
dude.
even says like, shit, we better get out of here. It's like in fucking Roadhouse when you can like look across the pond and there's the bad guy. They're just like staring the bad guy in the face like, oh, we better go. It's ludicrous, Brad.
Oh man, cinematic poetry, Chris. That's what it is. You can't, I mean, that is how you time a surprise revelation. The bad guy now knows.
Okay. So after stealing this helicopter,
right, okay.
there is still no armed presence to where they land the helicopter back in there, and they're just like, darn you guys for taking it.
Well, then he gets officially grounded. They both are
Lyman
officially
Good says
grounded
he forgets
again.
his cufflinks, and he grabs the tape.
Yeah.
The tape becomes very important.
Yeah. You know the mechanics know he's lying about the cufflinks. Okay, fine. But when he leaves, he doesn't close it back up. It's just like, hey, yes, I stole something from here. See, I stole this exact cassette. The thing that I shouldn't steal. Here's the proof I stole it.
The guys working on it know my name.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So I'm going to steal this tape out of this military helicopter.
And of course, he's given up immediately. So they're like, oh, well, we got to kill this guy.
Uh-huh.
You know? And so he dies brutally, getting run down by the skinny man from Unforgiven.
However,
Mr. Skinny.
He has left a message for Frank from beyond the grave.
Now, dude, again,
this is the stupidest ass part of this movie.
Okay, they say.
This entire sequence is out of its goddamn mind.
Roy says, hey, are we being recorded in here? And Jaffo's like, well, yeah, but I can... Well, yeah. And Roy says, can you shut it off? And he goes, yeah, I can do that. And then they show him pull a fuse.
Yeah,
and he says,
the
I
fuse.
have to take the fuse out. He literally says that, right? Okay, good. Fuse, done. Later, we see Roy's got a fuse that he plugs into the thing. And then suddenly a message starts playing like it's a tape deck.
Hey, boss, it's Lyman Good.
Just wanted you to know looks like we're playing cops and robbers for real, huh?
We forgot a very intricate detail of Lyman Good's death.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Which is when he arrives back home after stealing a military helicopter, he's got a bag of groceries.
Yeah.
Meaning that he just like shrugged this off as another kooky escapade in the Astro division.
Well, when he goes into his house, he sees a guy. The guy confronts him who's sitting across the room in a chair. Lyman Good is still at the door to leave. And he just goes, hey! And then the guy gets up and tackles him. It's like, Lyman Good, run out of there.
Yeah, man, you were just part of like a military like operation that you went rogue on.
And then in the message that he leaves from beyond the grave, he even says, I think, I don't want to keep the tape in my apartment because I think it wouldn't be safe there. So I'm going to hide it in this dumpster in an old movie theater that doesn't exist anymore, by the way.
Yeah.
Victory and Riverside, there's no drive-in there anymore.
Yeah, there's an old drive-in that I like. I threw the tape in one of the dumpsters. I don't think they take the trash out till Monday.
Yeah,
so hopefully you hear this in time, because if not...
Doesn't mention that he put the tape in a brown envelope that's not labeled with anything or anything like that. So... how you're supposed to know that this is in the trash. So anyway, so that happens.
So a man approaches Frank Murphy while he's sitting inside of Blue Thunder and says, hey, you're not allowed in there. Mm-hmm. Great security around this prototype weapon.
And Roy pulls his pistol, aims it at the guy. So, okay, this guy, he may be a mechanic, but he's still a police officer. And says, you talking to me, asshole? Like he's, what's his name in Taxi Driver?
Oh, right? Travis Bickle.
Yeah, you talking to me, asshole? And the guy's like, and runs away naturally, as you would, to alert people that there's a madman who's in the Blue Thunder helicopter.
A crazed 60-year-old man who's
waving a gun around.
Who's already previously stolen said helicopter is back to steal it again.
Currently grounded. Shouldn't even be on the premises anywhere.
No, he should have been stopped right as he walked into that building.
But, you know, so he's a flawed hero.
The security guard at the door should have had a clipboard with his face on it. I'm like, hey, man, the fuck do you think you're doing here?
No entry. If you see this guy, call the police immediately. Let everyone know, you know. Yeah, so he steals the chopper. But he's got good intentions because he's going to use the chopper to draw attention away from his girlfriend.
He's going to alert the news first.
Well, he's alerting the news, yes, but he's making a distraction so his girlfriend can go and get the tape from the dumpster from the movie theater.
But what I'm saying is very funny is that he calls the news first and then calls his girlfriend to go retrieve the tape for him.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He calls the news very officially and says, "It's Frank Murphy, Detective Frank Murphy, Astro Division." And they're like, "So this like is Frank Astro? Like, who the fuck are who are you? What do you want? Are these reporters here? Tell them I got a package coming."
Yeah.
And the guy on the phone's just like,
"You know
sure,
what
man."
I'm saying?
It's like, sure, man.
Yeah.
It's like not even the movie. Even the movie is just like, yeah, nobody knows who the fuck this dude is.
Well, I love that about it because it throws in the question of, well, this guy sounds like a nut job and probably just take the information and throw it away, right?
Yeah. That is a crank call.
Yeah, that's what you would think, and it's kind of the way the producer responds. So there's almost this question of, is this plan even going to work, you know? So it's a desperate last-minute attempt.
And then he calls his girlfriend and tells her, "I need you to get in your car and go get this for me. I've just stolen a military helicopter.
Well, I think
and I can't be bothered to land it. Get out, find the tape, and then take it to where it needs to go."
I think he left the wrinkle of him stealing the helicopter out of the conversation. And I think he did that for her protection.
Well, yeah.
So,
however.
So off she goes to the movie theater and is instantly, you know, cops are starting to arrive. Well, she breaks through the gate, which she probably shouldn't have done to get into the theater.
Yeah.
Because right after she breaks through the gate, the employee shows up and is like, what are you doing?
He's got like 2 bags of trash, like he was clearly doing something.
Yeah, exactly. If she only waited another 15 seconds.
But no, she goes ramming ass right through that.
Breaks down the gate, swerves crazily until she finds the 2 dumpsters and then has to climb into the dumpsters.
Which Frank is delighted by.
Yes, because he's caught up to her in the helicopter and he's flying low enough to scatter all of the trash.
Yeah, he's just blowing dirt and trash into her face while she's doing him a favor.
And he's pointing at her like, "No, get in there and do it. Why are you having a problem with this?" Right?
I know I'm in this enormous gunship right now. But never mind that. Hop in that dumpster and find this.
Yeah, you hop in that dumpster. It's
find
in there
this
somewhere.
tape that may or may not be there.
And I mean, I never would have found this manila folder that's just got a tear off the top of it, and the tape is inside this thing amongst all the trash that's in that damn thing. So she finds it, she holds it up, and she holds it up right as the police are arriving. So now it's a chase to get out of the drive-thru.
It's a bitchin' car chase.
Yeah, because
it fucking rules.
Yeah, pretty well done. She goes down a one-way street, which she shouldn't, but she does.
For the second time.
For the second time.
This time, at least not with her child in the front seat.
Well, yeah, no child endangerment while the cops are chasing
you. Her unbuckled child in the front seat while Frank sat in the back. Yeah.
That's a good mom. You know, devoted to...
At the end of this, she is never seeing her son again.
Oh, well, you know, these are consequences that we're not supposed to consider with the movie. We're just supposed to recognize how loyal she is, you know. helping her flawed hero get things done, recognizing without questioning that this tape must be important somehow because it's got to get to the news station. So she's in her car racing to the news station, and Roy's kind of backing her up with his helicopter.
with Blue Thunder.
And, you know, he's doing things like shooting squad cars in half.
Yep.
You know.
He sure does.
And you're like,
this
the
is
property
after
damage
he has shot down 2 police helicopters.
Yeah, one of them being his friend.
Yes.
He turns around, clips the nose off the front of it, and shoots it again.
He engages his friends in gunfire and crashes their helicopters over the Los Angeles skyline.
Yes, well, you know, the more important thing was to make sure that the tape made it to the TV station, and that he, as pilot of Blue Thunder, made sure that the bad government people who wanted to use it as a prototype for crowd control.
Yeah, for the upcoming Olympics.
Yeah.
Yep. There's an added subplot that we didn't need.
It sounds silly when you say it.
Yeah. Sounds silly when Blue Thunder says it, too.
In the context of the movie, I can...
Incorrect. To whatever you were about to say. I reject your argument.
Okay. So we're just talking about theories now. So, okay.
But I'm saying that helicopter chase is fucking rad.
Oh, beautiful. Again,
through the LA River.
They got 2 professional pilots to swing these helicopters under bridges, through different arched bridges along the LA riverbed, through Hollywood, downtown Hollywood, I remind you. 2 helicopters, bright as day, daylight, flying down Hollywood Boulevard. They had to pay so much money in permits and all of that stuff. It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
And when he crashes 2 more helicopters, they fucking crash helicopters. It's rad.
Yeah.
One of them looks real fucking brutal, too.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, much respect to these stunt teams.
Yes.
You know, unbelievable the stunt work that's in this movie. So I think that's one of the reasons why it made such an impression and that it did when it first came out.
Yeah, because she, for some reason, pulls over for the police on a bridge. And when the police get out, they're pointing guns at her and then ask for her license and registration after a high-speed chase.
Yeah.
But up over the bridge.
He goes up to her and he says, oh, man, what does he say? The den mother look isn't going to cut it.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, geez, well, and then he's like, let's go easy on this, license and registration. And then she's like, oh, I don't have that. So you've been doing all of this mad, crazy shit. You don't even have an ID on you.
Nah.
You're going to jail. You're straight up So he's like, all right, get out of the car. Get out of the car. And then we have the beauty trailer shot of Blue Thunder rising up from the side of the bridge.
Rising like a phoenix from the ashes.
And I'm surprised that he didn't use the loudspeakers like he did when they were recording the sex act.
Yeah.
To yell at them, hey, leave the woman alone. Leave her alone. Let her go. I'm Frank Murphy. Official Astro Division.
That name ring a bell to you?
Put down your guns, boys, or I'll sever your cars in half with my .50 caliber.
Yeah. So she jumps back in her car, tears ass off. The cops jump back in the car, and yes, he blows up the back half of their police cruiser.
Yep. Well, you know,
with his eyeball triggered fucking .50 caliber guns.
They shouldn't have messed with his girlfriend, dude.
Yeah. She's got to get that tape.
Yep.
To the news.
Yep. And then, so 2 F-15 fighter jets come in with missiles mounted, and they take pot shots at Frank in his helicopter. And the first one, somehow he knows a missile is flying at him. Still don't know how he knew a missile was incoming. But he rests his helicopter next to a smokestack on some kind of a
like a
Chinese restaurant, burrito joint, weird.
the
something.
barbecue place.
The barbecue place.
Yeah, it's this giant fucking like Asian barbecue place that looks good as hell.
Yeah, well, it gets completely leveled, so there was nothing,
Okay.
We'll never know how good it was.
He basically parks the helicopter in the air, like he's just treading in one spot.
Yeah.
While a missile is fired from a military F-16 because in every respect, he is a terrorist who has shot down 2 police helicopters and a police car in half.
And there are, there's the FBI agent and there's the other government guy. I forget what his position was. Mm-hmm. But both of them are basically saying, no, you're cleared, take the shot. Go ahead and knock that helicopter out of the sky. So Frank, somehow this smokestack, the heat from the smokestack confuses the missile.
Yes.
And he flies away as this missile comes in, hits the smokestack, but levels the entire building.
As chickens rain from the sky.
Chickens rain from the sky. That's right.
It's amazing.
It's gorgeous. It's lovely. And the 2 workers that we saw working, setting up the scene, they heard the helicopter and the weirdness and ran out of the restaurant.
Got the fuck out of there.
So we know the only 2 people who could have possibly been in that building were not in the building. So nobody died.
Nope.
Nobody died that we saw on TV, on camera, so it didn't happen.
So his girlfriend gets the tape to the reporter. Was it Alf Hewitt?
Alf Hewitt. Well, shall we gloss over the F-16 going into the other building?
Okay.
Did that happen?
It doesn't matter. But yes. So Frank is baiting the
F-16.
The F-16s again by hovering right next to
a building.
A building.
There's
at least a 20-story building.
Of like three buildings, and he's in between.
Yes.
Yeah. So they fire a missile at him.
So he's cleared to take the shot again, Cookie.
Yeah. They keep calling him. They don't call him Cookie, the guy who actually pulls the trigger.
Yeah, the fighter pilot
everybody
has
else Cookie.
Yeah, he has a penchant for calling people Cookie.
It's the weirdest thing.
Sure.
Yeah. So he takes a pot shot, and Frank just casually...
Yeah, he gently moves out of the way.
Oh, is the missile incoming now? Allow me to just... Boom, and then the missile goes right into the middle of this executive office building.
Yeah.
Remind you, it's the middle of the day.
It looks like 9/11 footage.
Yeah, because it literally blows through one side of the building, and then they've got the building in a 3/4 shot, and you can see 2 floors up, more flame.
Yes.
As this missile must have taken out 2 floors of this whole building.
Because it was just hit with a heat-seeking missile fired by the government at urban terrorist Frank Murphy.
Who's on a mission to expose an evil government plot. I remind you that the greater good is at stake here, Chris. So
his girlfriend gets to the
unknown civilians die.
Gets to the news outlet
as she arrives at the news station
with the tape.
Yes,
and says, "I need to speak to this reporter, Alf Hewitt."
Yeah,
to where one of the FBI guys gets up and tries to convince her to give him the tape, saying that he is the producer of the show. Mm-hmm. The reporter arrives and says, "I've never seen this man before in my life." The FBI agent pulls a gun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Says,
right.
"Give me that tape, lady."
Yep. And then
in a septuagenarian security guard batons a federal agent in the back of the neck.
Yeah. The reporter guy goes, "Get this guy off me, Frank," or something like that. And Frank just hits this guy in the neck.
After he has identified himself as FBI.
Yeah, yeah, federal agent.
This man has just assaulted an officer.
Yeah, straight pistol whipped him in the neck, knocks him out, and the reporter runs up like, "This is a TV station. You'll be safe here."
Yep.
Okay. All right. So Frank is still flying around. Okay. Fighting Malcolm McDowell now. And so it's the badass flying around stuff, right? When Malcolm McDowell first introduces himself, he sneaks up on Frank, hits him broadside, right?
Yes.
Cracks the cockpit window, and Frank gets a round from a 50 caliber gun in his
Into
shoulder somewhere.
He gets shot.
Yeah, we see a blood splat.
Yep.
So
we're several times shown that broken part of the window with blood spatter on it.
yes, So best case scenario is the bullet actually missed him, and it was just a piece of broken glass that went into some non-vital area.
Because otherwise he wouldn't have a torso left.
And he would be bleeding out through all of these maneuvers as gravity did its work, just making him squirt in different places.
As his military helicopter would have gone crashing toward the earth. Much like the 2 F-16s, 2 helicopters,
Right.
and police car that he had
Well,
shot.
the one F-16 that he shot down. The one F-16 that
Oh, that's
he
right,
shot
because
down.
the
The other guy was called off because there was too much property damage.
that's right, because the pilot ejects and Frank makes sure that he lands safely.
Yes, we watched the pilot who ejected parachute to the ground. So really, there's no need to worry about where that plane actually flew into several blocks of a residential area, I am sure. It's nothing we need to worry about.
Nah.
No. The more important thing is that we get to the duel between Malcolm McDowell and Frank Murphy. So we get to the duel, and
Fucking helicopter fight.
oh, it's awesome, dude. It's awesome. Now Frank is shot, and he's done all of his flying around that he can do. And then he does the impossible.
Well,
The 360.
he does it, man.
The loop-de-loop. The thing that should be aerodynamically impossible, according to that thieving, filthy British person.
He is such an incredible helicopter pilot that he can pull back on those controls better than anyone alive. Man.
I actually saw somewhere in my
This
youth...
movie's stupid.
Now, Chris. Now, come on. We're talking about a top-of-the-line military helicopter with all sorts of equipment and things and special science and engineering.
Oh,
so
we forgot
it
to
might
mention
be possible.
that Malcolm McDowell shot his rotating gun, so now Frank has to manually fire it directly ahead of him.
Exactly. So,
Which is why he needs to do the loop, because he can't just move his gun around.
because remember, he tried by shooting at Malcolm McDowell, but instead blew out about 3 floors of that civilian building.
Instead fired wildly just into an apartment building.
I mean,
A few times.
so some mistakes were made. And probably several civilians died.
Oh,
Surely.
yeah.
But again,
There was a new mother breastfeeding her baby in that building that was blown away with a 50 caliber round by rogue police officer Frank Murphy.
Let's not lose sight of the greater good here, Chris, which is that we're going to expose a federal crime of plotting.
Crowd control.
Of plotting to get, I don't know, government funding for the program. Is that really what they were, the main gist of it? I'm not sure what the crime actually is.
And here's the thing that's kind of funny at the beginning. They mentioned that it can be used for crowd controls.
Yeah.
Or armed insurrections.
Yeah. Well, it would be useful.
So this giant plot is that the military is coming up with something that may be useful if there is an armed military coup.
Yeah, some sort of an insurrection that
Those
they would have to worry
bastards.
about. Yeah. And then
Anyway,
Frank rightly points out, imagine if they had 10 of these things, right?
sure.
That would be so awful for our country.
But I'm going to go use it in the most nefarious ways possible.
I'm going to exploit this to spy on women. Yeah.
So, all right, so he does the 360 loop.
I'm going to steal this twice because no one else should have it.
He stole it twice.
So he does the loop-de-loop.
And Malcolm McDowell can't believe his eyes.
That is impossible!
And he is immediately just blown out of the sky.
Because he decided to hover and stare.
In awe.
Yeah, he couldn't think any further than how impossible what he just saw was. So he died.
Yes.
He was shot and died and blew up immediately. So this military helicopter with the .50 caliber gun mounted apparently had no armor on it, or the armor was
insufficient to Blue Thunder's badass
mighty
firepower.
So he blows the helicopter up within like 3 shots, and it's gorgeous. And we see the lovely...
Yeah, it fucking rules.
The debris crash, and we know that the bad guy had his rightful end, because how dare he try to stop a domestic terrorist who's stolen a federal military
a test
vehicle.
Helicopter.
A prototype, right? And then... finally, it runs out of gas, because you would think after the many times it had been stolen and the short period in which it had been grounded, it probably hadn't been refueled.
The absolute lack of security around this very dangerous prototype helicopter.
So,
but it need not go on. So the valiant Frank Murphy...
yes, decides to give up his new toy, because if he can't have it, then no one should. And it's not like they can't rebuild the prototype with the plans that they had, but he's going to take this prototype and make sure it gets destroyed. So,
and how does he decide to go about that, Brian?
He lands it in front of a freight train.
As one final act of domestic terrorism.
He derails a full freight train.
Yes.
Yeah, The poor conductor probably surely died. And we don't know...
anyone on that train died instantly.
Well, they made sure that the explosion was spectacular. So it was a massive fireball that ate up like 3 train cars. So, yeah, I mean, Blue Thunder was destroyed. And Frank, with his Casio watch...
Yep, he
timed it perfectly.
Yeah, he stayed calm through it all.
Walked away like a hero.
And luckily, his story was corroborated by grainy fucking heat vision.
Thermal vision, where you don't know who is saying what. Who are these people? What?
No.
Easily deniable in any courtroom, no matter what.
And audio of people that are now deceased due to his actions.
Yeah, exactly. Now that he's blown up all of this stuff. And there's the girlfriend saying, "Wait, why are you putting the cuffs on me, officer?" "No, I want to see my child." "Oh, but you mean it's wrong to run away from police and interfere with a federal investigation? What?"
"To aid my boyfriend who has stolen a military helicopter and caused havoc all over Los Angeles. Millions of dollars in property damage and probably hundreds of lives affected by this massive act of terrorism."
A man who literally in the space of half hour, 45 minutes was grounded twice.
Yes.
For his activities.
For his disturbing behavior on the job of being a police
You're
officer.
an embarrassment, Frank. If I stand up and you see I don't have any ass left, you know why.
It was chewed off by the old man upstairs. We're going to do this cop thing. I talk, you listen.
Right. Me captain, you cop. I talk, you listen. That guy had so many great little one-liners. "We got hot mincemeat pie up both armpits." What? What? What does that even mean? Apparently it means trouble.
This movie's incredible. I mean, would you in a million years, given all the time in the world, do you have the sort of brain that would have written Blue Thunder?
Well,
there's like 4 different storylines that are going on, and none of it makes any goddamn sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing about the helicopter itself is, like I was joking about before, is it is like showing off new technology. And at this particular time, you're also dealing with, there's a certain amount of implied patriotism that goes into the idea that, our scientists and engineers could come up with this technological marvel and the implied moral question of, okay, well, now what are you going to do with it, right? So from that aspect of building the script, I don't think I would start by having my hero go hang out at 10:30 to watch somebody do naked yoga.
No.
You know. But it was the 80s, and all you wanted to see was some tits, you know.
But at no point should that have endeared us to our main character. And in fact, it doesn't, because he's reprimanded for his behavior immediately.
As he should have been. Completely. But so
and
the other
essentially no
it,
consequences. Because
okay. We also did not reveal, here's another aspect of the cool helicopter fight at the end with Malcolm McDowell, is during that helicopter fight, Frank Murphy has another Vietnam flashback, and at that flashback, it's revealed that Malcolm McDowell was the evil British guy who threw that poor Viet Cong whatever person, individual, out of the helicopter, threw him out to die from the height in the jungle. And that is what traumatized Frank Murphy. And that was why this British guy tried to get him court-martialed so that this war crime
all swept under the rug.
Yeah, exactly. So so that's why he doesn't like this guy. There's that sort of conflict with it. From that respect, that's something to build from. But other than that, I mean, the whole morality thing and having him grounded and things like that, I'm not sure that that's where I would have the conflict. I'd probably focus more on the technology.
And this is one of those movies that, like, we've kind of talked about it before. I don't remember if it was on this show or the other one. But, like, man, did nobody read this before they decided to shoot it?
Oh, well, yeah, but
like,
see, I mean, dude, that was the beauty of the 80s, because the director was John Badham, right? Who had this sort of track record of making a certain type of movie that would make a certain amount of money back, right? So at that time, the heavy corporate ownership wasn't fully in play. So you could make bad decisions like, let's have our heroes do this thing, because from a certain perspective, all you're doing is you're counting the amount of nude scenes that are in the movie, how many explosions are in the movie, because you're trying to meet the demands of a certain market, right? So as long as you meet those things, like when you have Chuck Norris just attack this woman and strip her and throw her in the bed, it's like,
man,
holy crap, nobody should do that, right? But at that time when they did it, they're just counting, okay, this happens, that's fine, demands are met, movie will sell, right? So that's kind of, you know, the cynicism behind the writing and why it would be greenlit, as opposed to somebody nowadays quite rightly saying, you know what, this is some pretty pervy shit, and these are supposed to be our heroes. No, we can't do this, you know. Let's see if we can do a scene where we have the bad guy later maybe fly out with them, and he's piloting Blue Thunder, and like Roy's in the back seat, or one of them's in the back seat, right? And then the bad guy does this pervy spy thing, and they can now have an opportunity to play the moral high ground, right? And I mean, that would work.
And to be fair, at the time that this was released, though, I mean, Bond had been doing it for years.
Well,
I mean, just having this horrible dude, and then some.
Well, as you pointed out, particularly with Roger Moore. I mean,
what I'm
Roger
saying
Moore
is that if you look at a lot of Bond films, the struggle that arises, the bad guy is trying to achieve, isn't really an issue. Like in The Man with the Golden Gun, when Christopher Lee's just got like this perpetual motion machine or whatever, and he's just like, I don't even know how it works. And it's like, oh yeah, he's just trying to give everybody free energy. Like, the conflict isn't a real conflict in this movie.
Well, now,
it's a created conflict, and it's ridiculous.
But in The Man with the Golden Gun, isn't he firing a laser from his island that can like destroy cities
it's still
or
a Bond
something?
Movie. Yeah.
So I would say that's your implied threat right there. The man has a laser.
Or is that Moonraker?
Well, Moonraker is the satellite that can fire down.
We don't need to get into Bond movies.
Yeah, Well, I will also say that there is a distinct difference. Like, Sean Connery got out at a decent time where he was like, I'm getting too old for this shit. I'm not doing this anymore. Roger Moore stayed in it till he was 60. And seeing a 60-year-old man get pervy on a 20-year-old girl or anything like that, you're like, okay, no.
In the first 10 minutes of A View to a Kill, he's like, oh, it's about 5 days till we get to Alaska, and just like wraps his arms around this woman, insinuating like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just fuck you for 5 days straight. And you're like,
5 days, you on top of me, what a joy, you skeletal old bag of sticks.
Yeah, 'cause we were talking about this earlier, that like Roger Moore in that movie looks like a mummy.
Plus, I don't know why he waited till the last movie to get that disgusting mole taken off his face. Oh my god, dude. They made a big deal out of it in A View to a Kill. Oh, look, the mole is gone. And I was like, you should have done that before you did Live and Let Die, you idiot. Anyway.
Since we're on Bond, who gives a shit? Is it Man with the Golden Gun where they walk in and they're just like, we can't send Bond, he's a fuck-up alcoholic. And like they just call it out to his face that he's a bumbling idiot.
It could well be, because that's also the one where they discuss him with the Beretta versus the 9mm as well. It's another time that they bring up, look, this gun that you're using, you're taking the Walther, you know. You're not taking this other gun. So yeah, it's I mean, those classic Bond movies would get into these kinds of conversations and discuss the whys of the equipment. You know, things like that, which I thought were interesting. I mean, Roger Moore, literally by the end of his run, they were just making dumb jokes and doing ridiculous stunts. It was... Anyway, so Frank Murphy
is going
has
to
Blue
prison.
Thunder. No. He has Blue Thunder destroyed by a train. We know from the news report that this explosive information on this kind of, you know, hard to understand videotape.
With a voiceover that literally says, but that's not the end of the story.
But no. And then they
like, what is this fucking Disney ending shit?
Well, what's great is they say, and now the weather.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And off they go, discussing whatever else, like a regular news blurb, as Frank walks and does the hero walk while the fire's happening behind him. Then they still frame on him, and they do
like a blue filter.
Yeah, a blue filter. So, and then they put Blue Thunder, and the music comes up.
Man, what a score!
Yeah, that 80s synth stuff, dude. It was moody
with the menacing drums. Dum dum, dum dum, dum dum. Man,
let me tell you, man, the 80s had it. They understood. So,
all right, Brad.
So that's the movie. I'm delighted that...
For real, though, Brad?
Yeah,
Blue Thunder, yay or nay? I'm never watching this movie again.
Well, like I say, I still love it for the practical effects that are in it, for the stunts that are in it. But I do have to say that through these older, cynical eyes, I can understand how some people might be offended by some of the material within the movie itself.
Well, and it's not that it's completely batshit insane, because I love tons of movies that are just out of their fucking minds.
He's a flawed hero, Chris.
Yeah, man, it's a lot more than that.
Relationships were tough back then, and times really haven't changed that much as movies
What
would.
in the hell are you talking about? God damn it.
Him and his girlfriend, and this boy who knows if it's Roy's son or she's had this child with another man, and Roy is just like the
Frank Murphy is going to be hanged at the Hague.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
For his involvement in a massive terrorism scandal.
I don't think he would be hanged, but I do think he would probably be put in, probably the lower floors of some basement somewhere.
He is going to Fort Leavenworth prison.
Not talked about ever again publicly, really, other than like...
Another crazed veteran.
Yeah, too bad we lost that Brit guy. He was a good pilot.
Yeah.
Too bad Frank lost his shit and did this loop-de-loop thing.
Yeah. Frank shot an active military colonel out of the sky because he had a hunch.
Okay, I was going to say this earlier, and forgot somehow. Don't know why. But the loop-de-loop thing that he does, I remember as a young man watching after Blue Thunder, of course, probably about 3, 4, 6 months, something like that. There was a television show that examined this loop-de-loop thing and was like, could this possibly actually be done in some way, right? Because it sure looks like he does it on camera, and if you see it on camera, then it must be real, right? So how did he do it, right? That was the way the question was posed.
It's very clearly just tricky photography.
Well, now, Chris, so this television show was examining the question.
It's really poorly shot.
Is it aerodynamically possible? This is, I'm not talking about
all right, man. Go
the
ahead.
beloved Blue Thunder loop-de-loop. What I'm talking about is this show examining the question. And what this pilot said, which I thought was really interesting, was you wouldn't actually be able to do like a singular circle, right?
Right.
But what you might be able to accomplish is something like a corkscrew, so that you could take the helicopter at an angle and then bring it around, but it would have to be an angle so that you weren't necessarily doing an actual 360 circle.
Because if you turn a helicopter upside down, you will fall from the skies.
Well, yeah, that's the essence of it, okay? But theoretically, would it be possible? And this guy did something like that on the TV show. So a corkscrew type thing is theoretically possible. I'm just throwing that out there as something that I saw that came up as a question because of Blue Thunder, and don't forget it earned a TV series that had Dana Carvey.
Sure, man.
In a debut as Jaffo. Just another frustrating observer. He did some sort of weird alien thing like that when he said it. That's why I keep doing that. Someone will find it on YouTube, I'm sure.
Sure.
I know we're not looking it up.
That's it, guys. Dude, I have nothing else to say about Blue Thunder.
Thanks for having me over.
I can't believe we had this much to say about Blue Thunder.
Well, man, I can't believe you never saw it before. So,
I
absolutely
can totally
delighted.
believe.
Thanks for having me over. Thanks for the conversation.
What if we got to plug a Rooney?
You have a calendar coming?
Well, yeah.
At some point soon?
Theoretically.
Okay. Probably in another... Well, you'll let us know. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got YouTube channel stuff happening, of course. The Before Movies Sucked thing is still going, and that's about it right now. So we'll see what happens after that. New year, new things happening.
New year, new you.
You want to do your Hill House plug or talk about that?
No, not at all.
Nothing
Not
going
until it's
on.
done.
I have no idea what that I'm talking about. I made up some strange words and put them together in a sentence. Okay, have a good night.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right. Blue Thunder.
Woo! Roy Scheider rules.
Sexual assault. Woo!
Domestic terrorism is good if you have a good cause.
Sure.
No,
Let's
okay.
end on that.
All right.
Well, that's good.